Dear Oprah, dear O-P-R-A-H, this is my gazillionth time to write to you. I have written to you more times than Tim Robbins wrote to get his library in the Shawshank's Redemption. And you know what? You probably put him on the show quicker than me. Dear Oprah, I can't put it any more eloquently. And I can't even use bad language because you're into God and all. Well, here goes Oprah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome. Really, really delighted to have you here in the cafe for this, yet another episode of the Coffee at 11 show brought to you by Wigwam Global. Delighted to have you here. And in particular, delighted to have our very special guest this morning, friend of the show since season 1, Keogh.
Good morning. Guramahagut, it says. I have read probably more self-help books than you all put together, right? That I know. I just don't stop because I'm an innate searcher. And next of all, I meet Oprah on TV and I go, how does she know that? And I know. So I can't believe I meet Oprah. So I'm dying to meet her. But there's a common theme that comes between that. When I was working with the young women in Tala, I used to say to them, when we were doing our graduation, I'd say to them, who would you like to have at your graduation? And you can pick anyone. And they'd be looking at me, you know, and they'd say, one of them said, Madonna. I said, hi. I was thinking, why would you pick Madonna? You know, thinking that she's creative. I said, why Madonna? And she said, well, she's two kids for two different fathers like me, right? So I just thought, I wouldn't have even thought of that. So I was thinking of the identification. And then when I moved to Kerry, I was working with women in farming and women parenting alone. And we'd have a graduation and I'd say, who would you love if you could bring to the graduation? Who would you bring? And they all said Oprah. And I remember saying, well, we'll write to her and she'll come. And if you're to believe the law of attraction and all this sort of crack, it should happen because there's nobody loves Oprah like I love her. And I know Marion, my friend, and all them, and Shida, who I'd like to talk about, wouldn't have an interest really. And not in a bad way, that's just their thing. But I loved her because I like her language and I like it's accessible. And self-help books gave me language and words that I didn't have before. So it actually reparented me and it made me feel just more connected. And so I said I'd write to her. So I wrote and I was convinced because I'd be very good. That's one thing I know I'm very good at writing letters and stuff. And I was convinced. So I then would start practicing what we were going to do when she came and we were going to get her nails done. And I had even, I had Fiona O'Callaghan. She runs the Cliff House Hotel. I didn't even tell her this, but I told her in my head, she's organising the chairs on the beach and she puts white cloth over them. And I have a fella who does art. Pixie does sand art. I have him, we're going to have a countdown, 10 more days for Oprah, 9 more. So it has to happen. But do you know where I got my best learning about the Oprah story was? I get asked to talk at different things, the women in business, or somebody might say, Dee, will you get up? And I get up and I'd say, do you know, I wrote to Oprah, and they'd all laugh and then say, now she didn't answer me yet, I'd say, right? And I'd meet people around the town, they'd say, and I usually got 2 responses, and they'd say, Dee, you're gas. You really made me laugh, you know, I'd never stop laughing and I'd go and I'd be delighted with myself. And then I might meet someone else and they'd say, you never met Oprah yet? That must be about 5 years, right? And I'd go, no, I want to just tell you, and I'd react like, yeah, well, well, she might, she's very busy and she's doing her 2020. I'd be defensive. And then what I learned about myself was when I answer, somebody else would say, you never met Oprah yet. Jesus, you're not much of an advertisement. I'd say, I know, but isn't it gas? We're having the crack. And what I realized was how I respond is reflecting on the level at which she's going to come. And Isla should have crack. So I know I'm going to meet her.
2 quick questions, right? And then we're going over to Shelley. First question is, what are you taking with you from COVID?
Sorry, I was getting so excited reading all the stuff. I think I'm in Oprah's gaff. What am I taking from COVID? COVID is to be slower, to be kinder, and to give people time. Yeah.
Bula bus, slower, kinder, and give people time. Beautiful. So Dee, what would you say to somebody who's struggling? What piece of advice would you give if they could only do one thing to cope with what's coming down the track? What would you say?
Do you know where I got this one from? Eden Hawke was being interviewed on Brendan O'Connor last week, and he was talking about his daughter. And his daughter's an actress or something, and Brendan O'Connor was saying to him, he said, are you worried about her being an actress? Do you know, in that world of, you know, it's kind of a little bit precarious and it can be difficult. He said, no, he said, she's into everything. She's into writing, she's into music. And he said this, if you've got heart, no one can stop you. And I thought it was gorgeous. And I'm saying to you, if you have heart, and we all have a heart, I live here sometimes, but my home is in here. And no one can take that from you. So if you have heart, no one can stop you.